So we're here today to talk about the e-commerce platform guide that you've put together.
Yes, yeah. So I'm Tom, e-commerce evangelist at Space 48, and kind of coming from a Magento background, now looking at other platforms like Shopify and Shopware, taking a step back and really understanding how does a merchant take on this massive challenge of a re-platform, what the decision process should they go to, and how do you compare? It's so hard to compare different platforms, how they size up against each other. So that's the challenge I've been taking on, but it's going on.
It's good. It's good. And I'm John, founder and managing director of Space 48. I suppose the value that I feel I offer in this conversation today is the direction that Space 48 has been taking over the course of the last 12 to 18 months has been moving towards us being an e-commerce consultancy. So we believe that's where we need to be as a business, because that's what best suits our customers. And as you touch on in your guide, obviously the e-commerce platform landscape has changed an enormous amount in the past 4 or 5 years. 5 years ago we were both just living in the Magento space, and I think the decision was usually already made that the customer coming to us would already be choosing to go with Magento. But we're clearly 5 years down the line, and things move at an exponential rate, and we now have, or the customer now has other options, such as Shopware and Shopify as well. So clearly we need to be doing the right things by our customers. So interested to hear a little bit more about what you're going to include in the guide. Yeah,
it's all about choosing the right tool in the box for the merchant where they are, and so comparing those platforms. Obviously, Magento coming from a point of view of previously kind of being a one-size-fits-all. Now it's as well as myself maturing, understanding where does it fit, and it is those businesses that are not necessarily on the straight and narrow with e-commerce. They've got they might be doing B2B and complex B2B setups. They might have require the website to be customized. You might do personalization, you might have your products be embossed in journals, and that's something that's having complex product setups is quite hard to do in some more kind of basic platforms, but it's perfect for Magento. Magento is great for bigger businesses that want to have they're going to build their website and continue iterating on it. It's going to be the foundation. It's going to be there for years.
Yep.
But it's not quite so. It's hard to move quickly on when you compare it to other platforms which are simpler, and that's kind of the fact of the matter, and why platforms like Shopify and Shopware in their own right can be attractive.
Yeah, I agree with that, and obviously there's the sort of the feature set side of things. What we see as a business, customers or prospects when they come to us, the RF or the brief that they come to us with is typically very feature orientated, and these are the things that they actually want to build or do. Naturally, certain briefs will suit certain platforms. I personally think that one of the areas that they miss out on the most, other than the feature set, is actually which platform is going to be right for them as a business.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean that in terms of people and the skill sets that they've got in the team. Very common for us to come across people that are working with a more flexible or complex platform like a Magento or Shopware or another more open source platform, where the skill set in the team is just not really orientated towards it being technical. So they don't really have someone there who's a product manager, or they don't have someone there who's a BA. They get very frustrated if they've got people with strong marketing skill sets or strong trading skill sets, yet they've got them sat there writing a requirements definition. They're sat there testing software, which is the last thing that they want to be doing, obviously. So I think that's the key thing for me, is matching up the right platform with the skill set of the people that they've got in the business.
Yeah, and that's why in the guide, the first section, I started writing out, how do I compare platforms? But I'm already too far down the process at that point. You do want to take the first step, is looking at the business objectives, the makeup of the team. Where do you need support? What can you do in-house? What can what is viable for you to grow to do in-house? And while many merchants want to kind of have developers in-house, that's not always going to be practical. Developers are hard to come by for the best of times. So that's a difficult one to do, where for those large platforms, developers and creating an entire development team and culture, that's a really big undertaking. I think it's only really kind of worthwhile if technology is at the core of your business, but if it's not, let's kind of spend less time on it, so you can focus on your branding or your marketing and things that are going to going to have a bigger impact in.
Yeah, I think one of your sort of key messages there as well, obviously from a customer's perspective, is the business objectives, and if they've considered what the business objectives really are and what they're trying to do, hopefully it aligns with a certain platform. What I then believe that customers need to consider, or prospects need to consider is that their expectation when they come to an agency like a Space 48 or any other agency for that matter, is that the technology or the website that they build is going to be good, which is not a great definition in terms of it being good. But what it really comes back to, and aligned with the objective, is actually expectations, because the expectation of the new platform is usually that it's going to help them grow by a certain amount. So the agency or the people that they choose to work within the team or externally from an agency or a consultancy even, are obviously adding that additional value, whether that's from a marketing perspective or even an operational perspective. I was sat with a customer yesterday and we were really talking about business systems. We were actually looking at the way that they process some of their orders when they're doing pick and pack, and how the website actually interacts with the business at that point in an internal process. I feel we probably managed to find a way of showing them some efficiencies of how to better use other business systems and make sure that they're very importantly using an e-commerce platform for what it's there to do, which is be a trading platform, versus doing other things like becoming a pseudo sort of WMS.
Yeah, so I think it's very easy, and that's one of the benefits of Magento has always been its marketplace, and there's so much you can add to it, and so much, because it's so flexible, you can achieve a lot with it. But the downside of that is it moves away from being kind of a leaf just on the edge of a system and just doing its job well and becoming the centre, which is a dangerous place to be. But with kind of different IT systems becoming more digital website focused, I think as we're working with customers, recognising there's a lot more that we can do for that business if we can help them upgrade their internal systems as well, which provides more functionality to the website, enables us to do all the kind of bit more exciting and what customers expect as standard in terms of like click and store and things like that.
Can you give us a flavour of, you mentioned there about ecosystems around the different platforms, can you give us a flavour of what's in the guide in relation to ecosystems? Have you started to talk about some of the other technology partners that are involved in various different platforms, or where does that go?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, kind of gradually getting more exposure to some of the other ecosystems like Shopware and Shopify. Obviously, most of my experience has been with Magento, and it's got a fantastic ecosystem. Obviously, it's massive. Kind of meet Magento yesterday, and hearing from Thomas Galetz on having events in next year they'll have events in 40 different countries. So anywhere you go on Magento, you've got people in the ecosystem that you can get advice from, like localized. So that is an incredibly valuable part of it, and there's a lot of intelligent people in the ecosystem that are really kind of help bring every merchant kind of rise, every merchant higher. Yeah. That's not to say that other Shopify is known for having a fantastic ecosystem as well. It's just on a slightly more smaller scale. It might be more focused on kind of independence and kind of one-man teams, but that they have the advantage of being able to do some more kind of smaller, innovative pieces of R&D. There's some really good groups there. I
think Shopify is starting to break that cycle a little bit. You're starting to hear of some bigger brands that are making the move over to that platform. I think the points that you make about the ecosystem around Magento are absolutely relevant as well. I immediately gravitate towards Magento based on my experience as well, but you can sort of cast the net around the tried and tested other third-party technologies, the likes of a Dotmailer, Nosto, etc., etc. The other platform, other third-party platforms that really take Magento from being an e-com platform and turning it into a trading platform that ultimately helps customers make money and grow online.
Yeah, and the other kind of ecosystem difference between the platforms is whether or not the actual underlying platform is open source, and so that it changes the way that people engage with the core product and how they extend it. So with Magento being open source, which is great because it means that people have complete understanding of how it works underneath, so they can extend it in kind of intelligent ways. They can also contribute back, whereas with Shopify it's all kind of API driven, so you're limited in what you can do, which provides a lot of stability for merchants because they can't change underlying code, but it also means the ecosystem can't contribute back or be involved quite so much on a kind of direct level.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks a lot for your time this afternoon and giving us a short summary of obviously what's in store in the guide. Obviously, if you'd like to get in touch with us and hear more about the guide, I know Tom will be pleased to take calls. I'll be available,
Yeah, definitely.
or anyone else in our team. Thanks a lot for listening.
Cheers.